Yeah, I get you. Yeah, once I said it, I forget it. But welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Fat Limits 1 League Tier 1 Division. As always, I'm joined in the booth with Mad Rolla, tier driver, who's have a good run tonight here at the French Grand Prix. And as we also have our in-car color commentary. Should be a good one with Big Most. And then tonight's broadcast brought to you by Berry Winery at a new Cap Kentucky, sipping on a little bit of a Chardonnay on theirs, which is a nice bit buttery vanilla oaky Chardonnay for the evening. So it should be a wonderful night. All 5 lights are ready to go, and they are now out for our drivers as we start a reverse grid start. And we have one driver failing to move off the line, and it's absolute pandemonium as we have not one, but 2, 3, 4, 5 cars now absolutely obliterated going into the sprint race. I believe it was Hold My Dung. Did not go off the line, involving Lumpy Cheeks, Mad Attack, Nichols, Phil. Oh, we got a Aston Martin around. Prying Oak goes around.
Peace. Settle down, boys.
Indeed. Dream's had some pretty good starts in pub lobbies, showing some good pace. If he can stay out of a little bit of misfortune, I think he should be okay. As you now see on the inside of Big Moist, we have, I believe it was Takeshi looking to make a move, and does so swimmingly, smoothly, but Big Moist trying to fight back on in the inside. Oh, and there's contact. There's contact between Takeshi,
learn to fucking
Big
drive.
Moist, and I believe Waffles as well.
Fucking retard.
And we do apologize for any insensitivity that was broadcast there. We are live, and this is not a children's broadcast. But Takeshi now working on the inside, being the big loser, as Big Moist is having to pit along with Nichols and Savage Go. What an absolute wild ride of a first lap for these drivers.
They're not going to change my wing either. They are.
You need to make sure you have it put to
I
on.
know, I lost enough wings. They changed it. What else?
Well, that will certainly be clipped again. You know, as a broadcaster, as a steward, and as a racer, always recommend doing the stream.
I mean,
it's just easy to come back. We got another caution on the track. Looks like Woody Main potentially involved in that going around.
I mean, there's no clip there. He lost the car. I'm just... it's frustrating.
But up in the front, we do have a battle between Dream, Chaps, and MCU Freedom. MCU driving injured tonight, may not be on the wheel, but going back to controller. If that is the case, expect him to be a front runner and want to absolutely contend and maybe get back to that form we saw last season when he became first-time champion in the Fat Limits F1 League. See, this is why we have Mad. He just knows all the turns in and out like the curves of a woman. It is absolutely fantastic to see how he's able to do this. I butcher the names, I mess up the turns, but he gets it. I just say, oh, the Nouvelle Chicane. Oh, turn 12. This man knows it all. Ooh, Phil Mustard filling in for a Prince Tomo, who's in Mexico today on holiday, putting in the fastest lap of the session. If you are the Red Bull, you are happy. We got another car around. Looks like Woody again. Third spin on the day. Big Moist being the biggest loser, down 14 positions, while Waffles being the biggest gainer at 9. Freedom just hanging on the back end of Chaps, not using any DRS, or excuse me, ERS.
I was Savage off.
MCU getting a great run out of the turn, and Chaps is going to be on the outside. Ooh. Aschaps backs up into the long right-hander Cines as we come into the 5G's Basso S's. So you didn't know I was going to know that, did you?
Nicholas, dude, I didn't have anywhere else to go.
Cream to cream, watching these two battle as they are side by side coming out of the final turn into the final in the front stretch down the pit straight, and with DRS. Dream doing everything he can to fend off MCU Freedom, but MCU jumps to the outside to try to get the preferred line going into the second turn, and he gets it, but Dream able to get a better run coming out. Gets back on the rear end of him, but has to settle for P2. The good... He does, but you know the good thing for Dream? He has points in this. It's not like he's reserved with nothing on the line. He has points, so he's actually able to go ahead and start first on the grid, now dropping back to P2. He does have a grid penalty for this race, and I believe it is a 5 grid drop, so he will be starting no better than P7 as they run currently, but he does have a hot train of cars behind him, potentially becoming victim to a DRS train. We now have Phil Mustard and Zeech now both being the top moves of the day at positive 10 for both. Oh, and Aschaps gets a little bit loose, allowing Pat Dog to kind of get up. Pat Dog's having to get off the back end of him by hitting the brakes, absolutely killing his momentum, allowing Waffles to get a little bit closer. Nichols DNF'd. I did miss that. Did you see what happened there?
I think he just retired.
Looks like his car's going to drive through the pit straight, unfortunately, and hopefully that gets off before our leaders approach him, because that could spell absolute turmoil as we are now in the 5th and final lap of the sprint race, with Aschaps making the pass on Dream to Cream down into turn 1. Not a bad idea, though, for him, because now they're both sitting around 8 to 10%, but he's going to have that all-valuable DRS as they come out of, I believe it is turn 1, 2, 3, 4, what is that, turn number 5? Maybe 6? Ooh, and we got Dream to Cream going way off the track. Giving up position to Pat Dog now. And Waffles hot on the back, trying to make a move on the inside as well. Absolutely. And you know what I expect to see out of a few of our drivers here is as you come out of that first DRS zone going into, I think it is turn, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's either turn 10 or 11. You can kind of cut that corner if you hit it just right and just propel you out without getting any warnings from the stewards. You just can't pass in the Fat Limits F1 League. You can use the Fat Limits, that's why it's named what we are, but you have to maintain position. You cannot advance position by doing so. As we see Freedom picking up P1 and fastest lap on the day. Cream to Cream dropping back to 5th, and he will be starting PL10 in the feature. Absolutely. It's, you know, you go from arguably one of the hardest tracks to complete an overtake to probably one of the more friendly. If you're in terms of overtake, you're really looking at France. You're looking at Austria, in my opinion. You're getting down into maybe Canada with some of these nice long DRS zones that allow you to just easily complete the overtake and not have to worry too much about the turns. I'm going to miss this Sunday, which is a Mola, which should be a very fun race to watch. I'm hoping to tune in if dinner plans with the family allow it. But then we go from France to a Mola, then to the very challenging Japan for our next 3 series of races. It should be one indeed. I am so sad to have missed that. I absolutely love Monaco. It's one of my favorite tracks to drive. People just got to be a little bit smart. All right, we're going to go ahead and go through here with the final standings from the sprint race. We're going to take a quick intermission as we get the grid, and then we will be back to you with more Fat Limits F1 Tier 1 Division Racing after a short intermission. Feel free to go ahead and enjoy our hype Season 4 hype video brought to you by Big Moist, bringing us all of the digital content in terms of video for the website and our YouTube. So big shout out to him. We appreciate what you're doing. And feel free to go check out which that YouTube is, Fat Limits Racing, I believe, or it's the Fat Limits F1 League. You can catch that in the top, or I should say the left of the stream. You can also check out FatLimitsRacing.com for all the latest news, point standings, analytics, telemetry, streams, all that. We'll be back with you in a few.
At 18,000 revolutions per minute, this isn't music. This is the scream of science. This is the inner world of pneumatic valve springs, of mean effective pressure, 300 brake horsepower per liter of displacement. The quest for the perfect four-stroke V8 naturally aspirated reciprocating engine. And in the middle of the hot metal, the carbon, the alloy technology, sits flesh and blood. Rising out of its carbon fiber monocoque, the coolest head. These are the eyes that can pick out a face in the crowd, as if motion were being slowed down. Not passing in a blur at 200 miles per hour. This is the pure mathematics of angles and aerodynamics, the physics of G-forces and friction, and the raw instinct to race. These are the masters of speed. This is Formula One.
It's lights out and away we go!
know it's a sausage curve. Don't drive into it. Keep me away from them. I don't want to be anywhere near them. People that have fucking accountability for the shit they do in this league. Not that hard to go, oh, I spun, my bad.
And then we're having issues here with Dream to Cream not able to get any of the telemetry for some reason. Not sure what's going on there. Things are working, but and out, I am so at a loss. I'm like, I might have to remote into your PC and give it a check down. But yeah, there's a kid in our racing league tools Discord. So he's not a kid guy. Built their F1 emulating of the current season, and he's working on next season as well to have the renderings all be in F1 style. It's really, really freaking cool what a lot of people are doing with this.
Dude, get ready already.
Chardonnay's hitting good, boys. You can call me the Chardonnay King.
Oh, look who's right in front of me. Oh, no, it's
Straight racing. And the lights are out and away we go here for the feature race. So far, it looks like a much better start than what we saw at the beginning of the Tier 1 sprint. Going through the field, it looks like we're okay. Oh, no, we're not. Oh, massive pileup.
Dude, come on.
As chat's involved. That live's DNF'd first lap.
Sick and tired of this shit, dude. I'm about to be done with this shit.
Lumpy Cheeks also off the track going slow. We got Aschap spun again. No, that is Zeech spun again this time. Not what you want to see if you're the...
Shit.
That is not what you want to see if you are the championship leader. We have a full course.
That's a VSC.
Safety. We're going to go ahead while we're waiting. We're going to go ahead and get the Mad Roller Twitch stream up and running on the inside as we got way too excited earlier. You said, who is that now? Oh no.
God. Bringing it back to fucking Woody.
And Aschaps now has a drive-through penalty, speeding under the caution, trying to get in. That's not exactly what you want to see. That should be a drive-through penalty, if I'm not mistaken. Fat Lives Matter's not going to be happy that his race is done going into turn number 1 of a 27-lap feature race, as we have Waffles going way, way off the track. We now have 4 cars going ahead and pitting, that being Mad Attack, Big Moist, Aschaps, and Zeech all collected, and the first turn Mayhem. As we go ahead now and get the onboard telemetry enabled, we're going to look at what the drivers are starting with as far as tires go. We got Pat Dog on the mediums, and then P2 through P10 all on the hards, as we then drop back down to Hold My Dung on the mediums. Another series of 4 mediums, and then all those who pitted, hards, going up until Mad Attack, who just pitted, presumably potentially going to the end of the race on those hards. And then Moist, Chaps, and Zeech all going on mediums or softs.
Oh, fucking wasted
Well,
time.
Moisey, the good news is it's very early on.
Dude,
And with the way some of the drivers are going, it might not be the worst thing in the world that's going to happen to you tonight.
I'm getting fed up with this shit, man. It's literally a waste of an hour and a half of my life.
It can be. That's kind of why I'm not doing pubs much anymore, unless it's only a certain few people. It's unfortunate getting wrecked, you know. In 3 days, 7 out of 7 races.
Yep. You got dudes in a league race that get so excited on the first lap and think they have to win it.
These top 4 drivers really kind of spread out so far, with Prying Oak being the closest to Dream to Cream in P5, but then it's really going to be a battle here in the midfield as we now have Takeshi jumping down to thinking about going on the inside of John C. Thinks better of it. We're going to see what the young driver does, as looks like all the drivers are getting the glitch for fuel. Takeshi really burning that ERS, trying to get in front of cars. One thing he's always done and continues to do, burn the ERS quick, such as Zeech from yesteryear.
Yep, there's a fucking bar.
Let's go ahead and see if we can't get Fat in here for some wonderful color commentary. You know, not necessarily the worst strategy in the world. France, I believe, in my opinion, is one of those tracks that is a little bit more forgiving on the tires in terms of degradation. He could potentially stretch it out, maybe not as long as those hards, but maybe enough to get on the softs with about maybe 10 laps to go. It would definitely push the mediums to the very end of their life, but hey, anything's possible. Not a great race here in the French Riviera for our points leader. That is for certain. But, it may not affect them, though. I'm looking at the points as they are right now. Zeech has a 27-point advantage over Nichols, who is in second place, and currently is only in P9, so only really getting about 2 points net. So that would put him 1 win behind Zeech, assuming Zeech DNFs or gets no points in this race and the next, they would be tied. Other than that, it's Prince Tomo who has Phil Mustard filling in as reserve. And then it becomes Matt Attack, Classy, and Waffles, who are going to be the next ones in striking condition. The biggest winner out of this would be Pat Dog, getting a plus 25 points if it were to end right now, vaulting him, I should say, from 47 points up to 72 points. It'll put him in a very nice position somewhere around that top 5. I love the man, but let's not say anything yet because, he's been very quiet in the chat, and I think that means that's because nobody's around him. So if something happens, it's only himself to blame. I think he's kind of happy with that. He'd rather be mad at himself than he would be another driver playing into his inability to podium. But really, those top 4 cars really have kind of spread themselves out. So again, the battle is going to be from P4 back to P9. All of those drivers within 1 second intervals of each other. And then you go a whole another 4.5 seconds back to hold my dung, as there is another caution on the track, as I believe it is Big Moist who goes around. Oh, that is a correction. So we're going to go ahead and... Oh, now we have Phil Mustard going around in the P1, P2 series of S's. Or I guess you could... I don't know if it's tight enough to call it a chicane, but I guess you could. Try to get Fat Lives Matter in the chat tonight. Unfortunately for us, I believe it's going to be one of those things where sometimes it's just better left unsaid. And so he is going to go ahead and, just kind of hang out and not do anything. Certainly going to be a race to forget for Woody, Chaps, and Zeech as it is right now. Did not see exactly what happened there for Zeech outside of just he spun. It looks like ever since then he just hasn't been able to really get what he wants to do. Now pitting as we watch Takeshi trying to make a double overtake on Takeshi and, Classy, and that is an off-the-track overtake. That needs to be yielded or he is going to lose the position, be penalized heavily. He does take back 1, gives up 1, I should say, but not sure if it was completely legal on prying. We're going to have to look into that. Okay. He is cleared then for giving the position back to Classy Maxi. We now have, I believe, a 6-car drag race down the front stretch. No one really being able to yield position. I think this upcoming DRS zone is really going to play... Oh, we got a MCU Freedom around, potentially? Wolf's coming off his first victory of the year at Monaco, hoping to do a little bit extra here if he can. In a battle of Freedom and Takeshi, though, I think Freedom would be able to take it away. It depends on if he's, again, rumor has it he might be on the controller tonight. We are definitely seeing a different drive out of him, but he did get the favored starting position. Oh, Woody Main around again. Woody Main around again. Matt Attack now picking up a warning for multiple warnings going off track. That is going to be a +3. Not a good day either for the man who's running in, I believe it is P3 or P4 in the standings. But, you know, I can't help but think maybe he's eating that burrito after all. Maybe he got it. It was a few minutes late, but it's, perhaps it's... Oh, and Classy Maxi glitches a little bit. Looks like he's going off the track. Ends up he is not. Having a little bit of lag in connectivity issues now. Not exactly what you want to see as you ride on board with that Ferrari. Oh, and Matt Brola gets kicked from the party. Moisty, what are you seeing up there on your Sunday drive?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is pretty fucking boring. Probably should have just DNF'd, honestly. Go watch a movie or something.
You know, we could always use a good Alpine finish, but hey, maybe we'll have some Team Alpine commentary for the T2 race.
Nah, I'm gonna watch a movie after this. I want nothing to do with this game for the rest of the night. Fucking 2 races in a
And
row.
here we go, 10 laps into the race, we have Woody Main officially retiring. 3 spins was enough for him.
I'm gonna go eat some pie and watch Dune.
Very good movie.
That's what I heard. I haven't seen it yet. I'm meaning to get around and see it. Had to get caught up on House of the Dragon last night. Get ready for Sunday.
I know. I wish I could be watching Sunday. Unfortunately, we'll be out of town, and I do not have the in-laws login information. So we'll be watching that on Tuesday night when we get... Oh, and Nichols gets on the gas just a little bit too soon. Gets a little bit of snaps, I believe it was oversteer on that. Perhaps these hards starting to drop off a little bit. I can't imagine they would be much less than probably 30 to 35% at this point. Cat Dog now out to a 7-second lead on those mediums. I think he's going to try to stretch those as long as he can and wait ultimately for those hards to come in and pit for either the softs or the mediums. I find it hard pressed to see any of the drivers on the hards going to softs.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, I'm 11 laps in. My medium's at 50% already. Oh, God.
Oh, you are A-okay. Figured you didn't realize it, so we figured we'd bring you back in. We were talking about watching Dune, since we have, unfortunately, a little bit of a more boring race. Yet again, we may not have the talk of stars like we did, I forget what track it was. I want to say it was Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Jeddah.
Jeddah, you know, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with the Jeddah Shikhan circuit. But hey, we have talks about movies and HBO series here at France, as Classy Maxi once again having some terrible lagging issues as he goes down the straight trying to go on the inside of Takeshi. Knows how that driver is going to be, thinks better of him, backs out, and this is absolutely terrifying to watch. That car just glitching all over the track. And he's going way wide. Prying and Nichols just playing victim to this at the moment, just kind of hanging out, seeing what's going to happen. For those of you just joining in, it has been quite an eventful start. Since then, it has kind of became a little bit of a boring race, reminiscent to that of when Lewis Hamilton, probably 2019, 2020, where he would just check out and run. In the sprint race, we had Hold My Dong, who appears to be Hold My Dong, who did not get off the line for a reverse grid start, causing a pileup before the start-finish line really ever happened with 5 of our vehicles. And then our points leader, Zeech, spinning out not too much later. They're going into turn number 3, I believe it is. Shortly thereafter that, we had Woody, yep, exactly, who spun out and retired. And that was pretty much about it for the excitement here for the sprint race. The feature, a little bit better start off the line, but it didn't last long until we got into turn 1, and there was a little bit more mayhem again. Shortly thereafter, we had, in the latter half of lap 1, Takeshi spun out, collected Big Moist, and I forget the other car. Do you remember, Matt, who that might have been? That is A-okay. It happens. And then again, we had Woody Main retire at about lap 10. And Fat Lives Matter, unfortunately, being caught up in that turn 1, or I should say in that first lap, turn 1, turn 2 melee, for lack of better phrasing, ending his day on the first lap. Since then, it's been pretty much smooth sailing for the rest of them. We've had the bottom half of the field being P14, 15, 16, 17 pit. Hold My Dung has now also just pitted for the first time. The first of the medium tires that have made it to the distance that we've ran so far, pitting. And Pat Dog now in the pits, he's going to be having to go on those medium, on the hards. Unless he's thinking a two-stop strategy could be the way, I don't think so. Riding on board with him to see, yes, they do have the hards ready to roll for that Alfa Romeo. And Phil Mustard spinning around. And interesting news out of the F1 world, not sure if you've heard it yet or not, Mad. No, not the Haas news. I'm talking about Sauber Alfa Romeo potentially selling 75% ownership stake to Audi. Absolutely. Yes, it is. What about the Haas news? You know, look, Mick doesn't want to be his father. He's not his father. You want to get out of that shadow. What? F1's a game of money and a game of results. And if you're not bringing one or the other or both, your lifespan's kind of limited. I still think, though... I'm sorry, go ahead. But real quick, I just want to jump real quick to P1 and P2. MCU Freedom has now reclaimed the gap that has been gone. He is now sitting 0.3 of a second off Waffles in P1. And then the gap is shortening now from P3 to P7. They are now all within about 2.5 seconds of each other. So this should get very interesting. Freedom's on the inside. Yep. I think what's going to be crucial here is this next series of S's into the 2 right-hand turns coming out into that really quick left hand. If you can get a good exit right here on these 2 turns, that's going to be what's going to be crucial for him to not get eaten alive in that DRS zone. Waffle and Freedom has no ERS. He's just going to let him get in, able to maintain it, do all right. He's going to have Waffles on his tail, but he's going to live to fight another day without having to burn any ERS. Did exactly what he needed to do on those 2 right-hand turns. Not at all. I think these 2 drivers are going to push it to at least another 5 to 7 laps, depending on how their speed drops off. Actually, for all these hard tires, the exception being Pat Dog and Hold My Dung, those 2 potentially could be the biggest winners or losers if we do see a late race caution, virtual safety car, or even a full safety car. Nichols in for a pit, Prying in for a pit. Let's go ahead and see what they're going to do. Will it be the mediums or will it be the softs? It's all going to be about driving style and the ability to save the tires. Riding on board with Nichols first. I see mediums for both drivers. As Chaps just pitted, he's on the softs, potentially taking those to the end, trying to make up any ground that he can, hoping for a late safety car. 100% the way it's gone so far. Waffles now battled back from being 1 second out to being able to get into DRS for that, I guess the way we would call it is the first DRS zone of the track. Not enough to get close for striking distance, but he's going to be hanging in there, hopefully getting a good run, but he is almost out of ERS, while MC Freedom still has about 50% left. Takeshi now running in P3. That's going to upset a few drivers, namely Big Moist. Having got caught up in a little bit in the beginning. But, you know, despite that, kind of settled down and has been working his way with Classy now out to a pretty consistent front running spot. Going back to the Gunther Steiner and Daniel Ricciardo talk, you know, it could be argued that Danny Rick made a mistake leaving Red Bull. We get he wanted to be the prime, the star of the show. He wanted to be that prime car. He wanted to get what he was due. As we see Takeshi now diving into the inside to make his pit along with Freedom and Waffles, and Dream to Cream now in as well. Classy staying out again, trying to make up some valuable position if he can. Again, we see mediums going on. I think there might be a few drivers who are going to try to extend it out and get softs, maybe only have a 2 to 3 second gap, and then be able to close in and strike at the end of the race. But Pat Dog being the huge benefactor here, if he can get a large enough gap with 10 laps to go. I think these fresher mediums are going to be the ticket. We'll see. But Danny Rick, the question, should he have left Red Bull? Should he have wanted to step out of Max's eventual shadow to try to set himself out as a name? I don't know if that was the best choice. He didn't really do much at Renault. He got maybe 1 or 2 podiums. He's got the one, win at Monza, I believe it was. So Zach Brown's got a tattoo to prove it. So no matter what he does and how much he may or may not like Danny Rick at this point, Danny Rick's with him forever.
I was going to say K-Mag signed on for a couple of years.
He did
Mick
indeed.
doesn't have a contract.
I could also see Danny Rick going to somewhere else like Supercars or Le Mans, maybe even doing some IMSA, or hell, who knows, maybe IndyCar or NASCAR. You saw some of these former Formula One guys running at Watkins Glen this past weekend with Kimi Räikkönen and, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank on another one, but not a bad race until a little bit of contact, unfortunately. And we have Prying Oak now DNF'd, has lost it, full course safety. These cars in the back now, starting from Savage Go Back, can absolutely pit, get brand new fresh tires, have no issues. Absolute godsend for Matt Attack, sitting on the hards for 15 laps, putting him in a beautiful position. Big Moist, there might be life yet. Unfortunately, he cannot go on the mediums. I'd be stepping in and getting those softs.
Yeah.
What are you thinking there, Big Moist?
You get the sauce, but I just don't.
Go for it. Why not?
Setup kind of sucks.
Adjust some of the differential. Make it so you can do a little bit more braking and then roll through the turn. I mean, this is a godsend for Classy. He's going to drop back, probably to about P7, unless these other drivers pit as well, but he's looking real good. But why not put on the sauce if you're a Pat Dog? Why would you run the hards if everybody else behind you is going to be on those fresher, faster tires that are at least a second quicker? But you got to remember too, though, you have at least 1 to 2 more laps under safety car conditions. You don't have to beat up those tires. You can probably maintain only maybe 3 to 5% tire degradation or wear. I don't know if I like that. So let me pose this question to you then. What if he waits a lap or 2 and then pits? He would. He would, but he'd have the softer tires. Or the fresher tires, excuse me. So I'll stop you right there. He has had the pace, especially in public lobbies. If he's not hit in some of these races this year, I think he could very well have his first victory. Or it could be a second. I'd have to go back and look at the historical analytics of it. But he does have the pace. You cannot write him off just yet. Oh, I agree 100%. No, absolutely not. I mean, it's a question of what ifs at this point. Or you know, I mean, so I actually had to step away for a quick second. So give me a rundown. What are the tires? We know P1 with Pat Dog is on the hards. What do we have from P1 through P10? So yeah, you know, without having those other people pit behind him, 100%, he's in a much better position now. I was thinking more on if they had the softs, you know, the gap would just be too much. Mediums being worn, okay, you got a little bit of a chance here. We'll see, but we have seen in the past couple races people making a little bit of a bold overtake before the line. They got to remember, it is a 62 mile per hour minimum starting speed, and it is also, you cannot overtake or go next to a car until after the start finish line, which here at Paul Ricard, it is a very late down the straight finish line, start finish line, similar to that of Melbourne. Oh, we got Classy Maxi jumping to the outside of Nichols, going down the straight, using that ERS to make the pass, quickly then getting off it, but has used 20% more than Nichols, who sits right behind him. Oh, and we have now Phil Mustard getting a one grid position for gaining a position on the corner cut. That should be interesting to see if it's going to go ahead and get posted. Oh, and Prying Oak submitting an incident. It looks like it was with Hold My Dung. Wow, we have 4 very, very fast cars in striking distance for a P1 podium finish. I don't know about you, but if I had a seat right now, I would be on the absolute edge of it, as we have just 5 more full circuits around this track. Dream to Cream filling in very admirably for Priority Bean. Savage Goat also not doing too bad either. Also filling in for an absent, now would it be Jamie Shelby? That's being filled in by Lumpy Cheeks. Who is the other Haas? I am drawing an absolute blank on that.
Savage just went around.
Oh, then there you go with the old commentator's curse. That would have been Loaded Beast being absent again this week. A few changes this year for those reserves is every driver who misses a race can elect for points to count by a reserve or Tier 2 driver, but only for 2 races this year. Now that we're in our 4th season, these drivers have earned their right to get points, especially if they do get a promotion mid-season. It's not necessarily fair to have them start at 0. So it's going to be really good for these drivers to go ahead and do it. 2 races, that's it. We've only had Waffles hit that so far due to a holiday in the beginning of the year. But a number of drivers now getting dangerously close to having no more points count from their drivers. Absolutely. Zeech now also DNF'd. I don't know if you had announced that already or not, but he is also retired now from the session. Out Mike's 4 cars officially done on the evening. Lumpy Cheeks now picking up a 3-second warning as well. Very hard to do in a Fat Limits race, picking up those corner cut or track limits penalties, but as you can see, it's still very much doable. And one thing I just noticed in the physics of the game, riding still with Classy, because that's kind of where the action shot is for the moment, hits the curb a little bit harder than I think he wanted to, and you saw that wheel hit very, very crazily. Again, some absolutely beautiful action shots here. And this may have to go back to the theater and try to grab one or two later. And it's been a minute since we've done through the field as they run. And first we have Pat Dog out to a 7/10 lead, still trying to hold on. Waffles hot on his tail into DRS on a P2. Classy Maxi also in DRS in P3. Nichols in DRS as well, hoping to make a move on Classy, but will not be close enough. Then you go back to Takeshi, followed by John C in P6. Dream to Cream looking to make a move on John C, but thinks better of it. We're going to go ahead and stay on board with this for a second before we continue on. Actually, we'll go through the rest of the field before they get to the DRS zone. Then you have MCU Freedom in P8, who just makes a move on Dream to Cream out of nowhere. Absolute madness. That was a beautiful overtake as we flicked to it at the last possible second. So now make that MCU Freedom in P6, Dream to Cream in P8, and they are still on a mission. We're going to go ahead and stay on board to see what happens here. And there's not going to be just enough yet. So going back to Mad Attack then in P9, Ash Chaps rounding out your top 10 in the McLaren. Pulled my dung in P11 right on the back of Ash Chaps. Big Moist then also with them as well. Still points on the line, and it is a fight for the points for everybody in the top 12. Then it would be back to 5 seconds to Lumpy Cheeks, and finally a Savage Goat, rounding out the remaining field that is still running on the track. Absolutely. But that's what you want to see here. It's exciting to see that, but the question is, who's going to make the mistake first? Who's going to upset it? As we got Pat Dog going way wide in front of Waffles. It appeared. Looks like he's going to be okay. He's far enough in front. But you have 11 lap old hards. And then the next is going to be 8 lap mediums, 6 lap mediums, and 9 lap mediums, followed by 8 lap mediums. Then you get onto the softs that are probably going to start dropping off about this point, as Hold My Dung now picks up a 3-second penalty. That could be points then for a few people. Freedom now spinning out and dropping way back off the track. Not what you wanted to see. We just mentioned those softs potentially being an issue from P5, P6, now back to P12. Now, and as we run now, Mad Attack has 6 seconds in penalties, vaulting him all the way back to P12. He's out of the points at this point. As Chaps, Big Moist looking at moving forward, still being that mid-pack veteran. Big Moist. Again. Freedom around. I think he's got issues now. He is dropping like a fly. Our biggest gainer of the day so far is Nichols, who's gone from P18 to P4 as they run currently. The next closest is Keshi with 9 spots gained, and still hot on the tail of Nichols, who is running about 2 seconds behind Classy Maxi, who are running on board with here. Hot on the tail of Pat Dog now, who's lost the position to Waffles. I don't think it's just Waffs. I think Pat Dog has to be mindful of those hards. He's only got 8% ERS left. There's not a lot he can do. Waffles has 29, 30%, and Classy has 20. Right now, he's kind of sitting in no man's land, but don't count out Nichols yet. There's 2 laps to go, and he has the most ERS of those top 5 at 43%. Make that. He's got the most of everybody. Classy on the inside. And they give room. Pat Dog, I think, saying, you know what? I want points. I want a podium. I'm not trying to wreck out. So here I am. I mean, I don't see why not. Classy's used 15% of ERS, but Pat Dog used it as well, trying to fight back. Waffs, I think, is going to walk away with this now at this point, en route to his second P1 victory in as many races. Oh no, dropping back at least to P6 now. Big Moist now getting passed by Hold My Dung, but saying, you know what? It's not all that worth it. I'll take my P10, potentially even P9 at this point.
Dude, he's just swerving all over the fucking track. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh well. Whatever. Excuse the language. Ain't telling myself I'm gonna get
Wow,
punished, dude.
Classy picking up with, oh, Mad Attack disqualified. Maxie getting a penalty going way off the track here. And Classy just spins it, sitting there. He knows it's done. Oh no. Viva La Ferrari, not so much. Hold the phone. Wow. That was certainly not the finish I was expecting to see. Absolutely wild.
Wow. I don't rescind my statement. I just need to drive on the first lap, man. It's not that hard.
Well, here you have it, our final results, unofficial results for the evening, with Waffles picking up his second straight victory in as many races, then Pat Talk Takeshi, but Nichols, Classy, and Mad Attack all being the biggest losers, unfortunately, at the end of the race. My goodness gracious. It would be absolute pandemonium having Prying Oak DNF just 11 laps shy of the final. So that would have been, is that lap 16 you left? Prying Oak?
I think so.
Okay. Who's the driver of the day? I'm assuming it
Nichols.
it was Nichols.
Mm.
Thank you.
Jeez.
Well, thank you all for joining us for yet again another installment of the Fat Limits F1 League. This was round number 8 from France and La Celeste in the French Grand Prix. If you're sticking around, our Tier 2 division is coming up next. We're going to try to go ahead and give it a streaming commentary that is TBD. If you can, please feel free to check out one of our drivers who will be live streaming it from their cockpits. And we will see you on Sunday for Imola in round number 9.